when you had everybody playing everybody and it was sun up to sundown. Golf, too, more times than not, a pretty mundane Sunday. Like, very rarely did we end up with Phil and Tiger in those Sunday duels.
Thank you for listening to the best of Real Golf Radio with Brian Taylor and Bob Casper on the Real Golf Radio Network.
Hey, Benjamin, we've got a surprise for you.
What?
You have a brother. $100 bill just like you.
Hey, I'm Ben.
What?
We just got him for joining America First Credit Union and opening a new checking account.
And you're going to live together at America First.
What?
This is nice.
For a limited time, new members get a $100 cash bonus when they open a checking account or $50 when they open a youth checking account. So head to AmericaFirst.com and get your money working today. Membership eligibility, terms, and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Tom, I'm on the sideline here with Doug Smith Chevy. Doug, the NCAA has changed its rules regarding NIL money. What do I have to do to land an amazing new 2025 Chevy Silverado?
Just come on down to Doug Smith Chevy in Spanish Fork.
Doug, I'm more than happy for you to use my name, image, and likeness to talk about these amazing new trucks all you want. All I want to know is, how do I get one?
You have to buy it, Scott.
Drop in a Doug Smith Chevy in Spanish Fork. No one knows Chevy like Doug.
Vanity Fair calls BritBox a delicious streamer. Collider says everyone should be watching. Catch Britain's next best series with BritBox. Stream acclaimed new originals like Code of Silence.
You read lips, right?
And Linley, based on the best-selling mystery series.
Say hi, Linley. Take it from here.
And don't miss the new season of Karen Piri, coming this October.
You don't look like police. I'll take that as a compliment.
See it differently when you stream the best of British TV with BritBox. Watch with a free trial today.
Let's go! You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Garden Restaurant has been open for a few months, and if you haven't stopped by, now is the time to get downtown and check out what everyone's been raving about. And if you have visited the new space, schedule a time to come on back. Grab a friend and come visit one of Salt Lake's best gathering spots for lunch. You'll be greeted by the delicious smell of fresh baked goods, like our famous Lionhouse rolls, perfect for taking home for family dinners. Or maybe you have a sweet tooth and are craving one of our brand new cinnamon rolls. They're the size of a dinner plate and perfect for sharing between a group of friends. Come smell and taste the garden for yourself. Enjoy the beautifully reimagined space and convenient location with new street access on the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. Open weekdays 11 to 3. Choose from healthy and delicious options like the turkey pot pie, jalapeno pork and grilled cheese sandwiches, tomato bisque soup, and nut and berry salad. All favorites not to be missed. So much to choose from. Check out the menu at thegardenslc.com. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant.
Broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services Studio, this is 97.5 KZNS FM Colbert, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and 102.7 KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Counting you down to kickoff. This is College Football Saturday with Alex Kirry, Christian Esparza, and Alex Napoles on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Happy College Football Saturday. Oh, my goodness, we're back at it again. Week 2, we're already here. And it's pretty soon going to be the end of the year. So there you go. All the playoff projections that went into the books this week. Look, we don't need any rankings. I think they got it perfect. I think we know exactly who the best teams in the country are after 1 week. We know who the worst ones in the country are after week 1. Why play the rest of the season? Let's just go straight to the college football playoff. Fellas, welcome to your Saturdays. I mean, it wouldn't make Saturdays as fun, though, wouldn't it? I mean,
no, absolutely not. We wouldn't be here talking football.
A little facetious because the polls are absolute garbage. However, lots of opportunities here locally for teams to move up into those polls or to keep moving up in the polls or whatever it might be.
A lot of room.
Utah snuck into the top 25 after sneaking out a win, just eking one out down there at the Rose Bowl, 43-10 over UCLA. BYU 69-0 over the Fighting Vikings of Portland State. I had to check my notes in my head about what their mascot was.
I don't think there was much of a fight there.
And then Utah State starts off the Bronco Mendenhall campaign with a 28-16 win over UTEP. So here we are, guys. We're in week 1. All the teams here in the state that are the big ones are all 1-0. And I don't know, up from here, everybody go up from here. I know that Utah State's going to see quite a challenge this week, but overall impressions of how last week went before we jump into all of what we're going to preview today on our College Football Saturday.
I think last week was awesome, and I hope there's many weeks to come where all 3 FBS programs get a win on the same day. I think that was great start of the season. I think Bryson Barnes up in Logan looked awesome. I think he's a perfect fit for Bronco. I think Devin Dampier, obviously, showing a lot of promise for Utah, and then Bear Bachmeier, the true freshman, getting a lot of people excited down in Provo. So there's a lot of optimism after week 1.
Is there a possibility that it was all just smoke and mirrors, absolute fake, and they were just living the dream of just having every skill or every position on the entire field by a factor of 2 or 3 be better than Portland State? Did Bear Bachmeier get? Do you think that's the best way to start a career? At some point, he's going to have to hit some adversity, and whether or not that's this week against Stanford, I'm not sure if that's the case either, Alex. I don't know if that's going to end up being something that happens, but I thought it was a good first step for Bear. However, I don't know what it looks like when a kid's going to be under duress, and he had 0 pressures last week against Portland State.
Absolutely, and we're going to start talking about BYU here for the first hour, and it for me, while he did pass the first test, because he only played a half and because it was against an FCS opponent like Portland State, who might be one of the worst FCS teams, I still have questions about this BYU offense.
Well, I think they do too. I mean, there's a reason they're going to go into this thing, and I don't know what you learned off of 69-0. The coaches obviously know. People who are there at the stadium, though, they like to see like that back and forth, and nobody turned it off. Every position that they put in was absolutely going crazy, and that's how a Kalani Sitake team is. They fly around now. A Jay Hill defense, I don't care if you're the 3rd or 4th string guys, and they all got in, by the way, a lot. They were all flying around, too, everybody making plays. So let's kick things off here with BYU versus Stanford. After the Portland State win, now you have to reset. Now things go back to 0. Now you have to get things going here. But I think you don't go away from anything that you started last week. You're just going to see more football played by your starting guys. So Bear Bachmeier is going to get more than a half. And I think they even said that during practice this week, right, Napoles? They were like, look, everyone's going to be expected probably to play all the way through the game. So when you're taking your starters out and you put in those 3rd and 4th stringers, I think a 6th-string running back got a touchdown last week. I mean, that's crazy to think, but that's kind of how they were rolling. They weren't even trying to run it up, but then nobody could stop. If you're running the football into the end zone, that's on the other team who can't stop it. However, I think you stay with the idea that LJ Martin could absolutely make Bear Bachmeier's life easy. If LJ can get that 20 to 25 carries, or if the offense overall between he and Sione Moa, or whomever they put in a running back, I think that the workhorse back obviously needs to be LJ. They get that comfort level out there, get him to another 100-yard-plus game against Stanford, and then that's just going to make Bear's life a lot easier as he gets going here with his career.
I think LJ Martin's off to a phenomenal start to the season, right? 8 carries for 131 yards. Didn't get the touchdown, but still 131 yards in your first game. And I feel like, and I mentioned this with Christian, I feel like it makes a difference when you go into a fall camp and you go into a spring camp where you're not worrying about injuries, right? You're coming into it healthy and you're able to focus on your development. You're able to focus on getting better. And I think we're going to see the fruits of that labor for LJ Martin throughout the course of the season. Off to a phenomenal start, and I think that we can't have a conversation about this BYU offense without mentioning the 468 rushing yards that they had against Portland State.
You know, I don't think that's a record, but I do wonder if it's dang close. I wonder if it's also one of those that you look at and you go, yeah, you're probably not going to have that again. You didn't need much through the air. I think when we were doing the keys last week, I was looking at our keys from last week, and I think I said 200 on the ground and 250 in the air. You don't need 250 in the air when you have 470 on the ground. What'd they end up with in the air? Then I think they only had 120 yards passing or something like that.
138 was the final. And only 97 of those came from Bear Bachmeier.
Yeah, Bear with 5 total touchdowns in the first half is wild, but it wasn't like you looked at him and went, wow, 7 for 11 for 97 yards. But they had the 3 touchdowns, one of them to Carson Ryan, which was nice. I think that was really nice to have that connection already. It was a great ball that he threw, and then Carson Ryan kind of pinned it up against his shoulder pad, and it was a nice athletic play. And he kind of got off to it. There are so many guys on this roster that are like, okay, if they're transfers in, if they're brand new to the program, if they're guys who are expected to be the leaders. Chase Roberts got his obligatory touchdown before he left the game. And then, all these guys get all this time on the field. So how does that translate into this week? How does 69 points translate into this week's performance for BYU, do you think, Christian?
I think you just got to keep it rolling, right? You go out there week one, that's the point of a game like that, to build your confidence, get everybody on schedule. You have the opportunity to go out and hit somebody that's not your teammate, like you're doing all camp. It's a tune-up game, and I don't know if BYU's quite tuned up, but they're pretty dang close, according to 69 points and not allowing anything from the opposition. So I really am excited to see what BYU looks like against, a higher-level school, because Portland State, it's really hard to draw anything away from that game. No offense to them, but they genuinely might be one of the worst D1 schools in the country, at least this year. I mean, that's one of the most lopsided scores we've seen in a while, so it's really hard to make any conclusions, really. But Stanford, obviously, they've had 2 weeks to prep for this game. They had the week 0 game, and then they had a bye last week. So what does that do? Even though BYU is probably a more superior team, that is an advantage, having the 2 weeks to prep. So I think today, I don't know if it's going to be, a legitimate test, but it's definitely going to be a harder test than Portland State was.
I've never seen a Stanford program be down. Like, down in the sense that I've seen Stanford teams not have great seasons, but I've never seen Stanford looked at right now as kind of the joke that they've become, which is so far behind on the transfer portal stuff, so far behind on NIL, so far behind on how the rest of things are done in college football. They're starting to come back around again. Usually they lead out on everything, and instead you have here's what's hard for me with this game. This is an interim, not just head coach. I think the entire friggin' team is kind of an interim Stanford football team, right? This isn't even – Frank Reich isn't trying out for anything. He actually doesn't really want to do this long term.
No.
And so you get this vibe in all this press conferences like he's barely wanting to even be there, and it's kind of beneath him to be doing what he's doing. He's kind of doing a favor for Andrew Luck. It feels like all those things, right? Like, it doesn't feel like a guy who wants to be there. They said right off of the bat, no, this is a one-year situation. We just need to have him help us get things on the right track. You're going to have this weird lame duck year, I think, if you're Stanford, and it's going to continue this week. And it's hard because they have – exceptional people on campus there, including the people on their football staff. I'm sure there are brilliant minds. But I don't think that they are at a spot right now. Like, this isn't even like a get right year. That hasn't started yet. There's no building up of the program right now. It's in this weird purgatory where they're waiting for a head coach. They've got all this stuff figured out. They have a brand new athletic director, a brand new school president over the past couple of years. They have so many things they have to figure out, and I know Andrew Luck's name is at the top of this program, as the GM and kind of running things. But the exit of Troy Taylor and the weirdness that happened there, David Shaw sputtering to the very end, legendary head coach, and he sputters to the very end. The Stanford program was already in a little bit of shambles then at the very, very end when BYU played them last time in 2022. Jaron Hall wins that game. It's the very end of the year. I remember that game, and I just remember doing post-game and being like, nobody even wanted to be here at the end of this thing, right? It just felt so weird. And so in the end, I just don't know what kind of Stanford excitement you're going to get. I will say you're going to have athletes there at LaVell Edwards Stadium tonight for this game who are way, 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 way better than the people at Portland State. I just don't know if they're schemed up. I don't know if they're ready to roll. I don't know if they're actually that into it. I know I'm painting a bleak picture for Stanford. They're going to show up and play this game hard. I don't think it's going to be some sort of 69-0. I'm saying for the rest of the year, we're seeing a Stanford program that's never gone through something like this, and so it's weird for them to come into Provo like this.
But I think that's just the reality of the situation, right? Because you hit the nail around the head. You have interim head coach Frank Reich. How do you recruit? How do you try to rebuild a program when you don't even know who your head coach is going to be? It does feel like this season's kind of a weird ride-off season for Stanford as Andrew Luck tries to get his feet under him and try to figure out how to steer this Stanford program in the right direction. They didn't look great against Hawaii, and I don't expect them – they did have the bye, but I don't expect them to be, leaps and bounds better than they were in that Week 0 loss.
They had a couple defenders get back from injury who didn't even make the trip to Hawaii. So they had a couple guys get banged up that they're going to be they needed that, I guess, in a sense, because they had a couple defensive players that are coming back. But I think it's kind of this idea that they're going to come in. Stanford's going to play hard. They just don't have I just don't think they're going to be able to stick to whatever their game plan is for very long. Or, more importantly, they're going to have a game plan, and Jay Hill's going to break it down by the second quarter on the offensive side of the football, and A-Rod's going to kind of be toying a little bit with that defense, especially if they get the ball on the ground going.
Well, the irony about this conversation is, this lull in Stanford's program is the exact reason why Bear and Tiger Bachmeier are in Provo in the first place.
And even L.J. Martin, right? He was a David Shaw commit, and then he didn't end up going.
But I'm talking even more specifically this year because of the interim head coach in Frank Reich. That is why Bear Bachmeier and Tiger entered the transfer portal, is because they did not want to play for an interim head coach, even though Stanford is such a prestigious education. They entered the transfer portal, and they decided to come to BYU, and those two schools happened to play each other. And Frank Reich had a lot of nice things to say about Bear Bachmeier because, for a little bit, he practiced there in the spring, right? It wasn't until after that spring portal that Bear came over to BYU. So
what's wild is he earned the starting job at BYU. I don't know if he would have earned it or even been allowed to kind of earn it at Stanford. They just don't really. They brought in a couple of quarterbacks that were like these veteran guys from other programs. Dylan Risk out of UCF. Who's the other cat who you're going to see some time from tonight?
Goldbranson, who's
going to be the starter. Those are guys that came in, and they came in with the idea. He probably wouldn't have sniffed the field at all. There's the other irony of it, right? This other program who seems to be more put together is starting the guy that the team that's coming in wouldn't have even started, right? It's a weird dynamic.
Maybe, yeah, who knows? I mean, if he would have been the best player at Stanford camp, who knows? I didn't, I wasn't tuned into Stanford camp during the spring, so I don't know what the reports were all about. But yeah, I mean, Bear coming to Provo, winning the job, clearly means something, and I can't wait to watch him tonight. I want to see him push the ball down the field more. I think that was really the only thing missing last week. I know they got off to a shaky start, that BYU offense, and I think there were a couple throws where Bear really struggled with some ball placement, and Carson Ryan, I think, bailed him out on that touchdown grab. It was an excellent catch, but little bit of an underthrown ball, and we'll see as the difficulty of the schedule continues to progress how Bear Bachmeier can progress as a starting quarterback. And we'll see, because 5 touchdowns is an amazing start, right? But
more importantly, too, not a fumble in the backfield.
No
interceptions, right? Got to stay
no
clean.
real mistakes, yeah. Because if you're making mistakes against Portland State, then that's a big red flag.
Well, on top of it, it just makes you feel like there's always a little bit of the game. I thought it was funny because I think Sly did it during Football Friday yesterday. He's like, yeah, there's that muff punt in the first half, and that irks him. And the missed PAT irked Kyle Whittingham. Like, could you just see him gritting his teeth on the sideline? I know we can all picture that, right? But you have those types of moments happen, and you go, okay, you have these true freshmen. Like in Utah's case, it's a true freshman kicker, right? But you have these mistakes. You didn't have to have that thing kind of over your head where you go, but that one play – I sold it, right? I fumbled, or I got it hit out of my hand, or I didn't get out of the pocket, and I threw a dumb ball. And man, I'll tell you, this is it's a big Saturday. College football, of course, underway, and we're in week 2, which means we're starting to get away from some of the garbage games. We're not totally away from it.
No, today's slate sucks.
I mean, there's some stuff that
today's slate is not good.
The Cy-Hawk battle between Iowa and Iowa State is underway. SMU threw a 75-yard touchdown on the first play of the game against Baylor. And it was going to be picked by the defensive back from Baylor. Like, he had it into his hands. He knocked it up into the air to the wide receiver, who just, picked it out of the air, said thank you very much, and then ended up taking that thing 75 yards to the house. Baylor needs this. The Big 12 needs that kind of a win right now, because Baylor could be in real trouble if they start the season off 0-2, because they're, for a lot of folks, the favorites in the conference to go to the top here. But you have some big games. The biggest one in terms of 2 ranked teams, Iowa and Iowa State. That's that Cy-Hawk battle that everybody is looking at, and of course we are too, because of that Big 12 tie that we have with Iowa State here. But let's listen to a couple pieces of sound here. I want to get to what Aaron Roderick said about Stanford's defense, because they have a lot to break down. They have a lot that they want to do with Bear. You got to try to scheme up the team you're going up against, but there's not a lot on Stanford, and he kind of mentioned that.
Difficult, yeah. They played an air raid team. It's very different than us on offense, and so, all we can do is kind of guess about what their defense coordinator did at Sac State, but they also have what they did last year at Stanford, and we don't know what we're going to see. So that's an advantage for them. So we have to just be squared away with what we're doing and make sure that, we can make adjustments during the game.
Not a lot on film from that defense. They'll just take what they get. They'll read those things, and they'll kind of go at it. A-Rod had some interesting calls. My brother texted me during the game and goes, really, trick plays against Portland State? And I was like, hey, but I don't think that they're trick plays. They're just part of an Aaron Roderick offense. I think it's just how they run things is like.
Yeah, he's got a lot of trick plays.
He schemes stuff up. They plan on, hey, let's do this thing. They're not going, I want so bad for us to run that play against Portland State. They'll bite so bad on it. It's just all they're doing is running their stuff.
It's kind of like the Detroit Lions. Like they have so many trick plays that when they run it, it's like, that's part of their identity.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's exactly right. Kalani Sitake on the recruiting of Stanford that Napoles you just brought up. Obviously, this is a recruiting rivalry because it's two pretty highly sought after academic situations. Stanford loves LDS players. David Shaw told us at Pac-12 Media Days one year, he's like, those kids, if they tell me that they're going on a mission, I actually like them even more. Which used to be a big, like other schools would look at that and go, no way, I don't. He's like, I like when those kids go. They come back more mature, they're smart, they're a little bit older. But I'll tell you what the biggest deal is they come back and their head is screwed on straight. Which, I feel like if you're at Stanford, that's not necessarily something you'd be worrying about all the time. I feel like every coach probably has to. But here's what Kalani said about Stanford as a recruiting rival.
All these tough programs that recruit against, Stanford's one of them. So, they have a really good system in place there with education and what they have with the football program. And, so the standard they have is still there. We're always going to have to recruit against everybody, especially in the West Side. And they're an academic institution that higher learning. And so then it's really difficult to get in school there. So we have a lot of common ground when it comes to getting guys that can be accepted into BYU too. So we're going to battle them always. I don't think that's ever going to change.
I was shocked to find out that Harvey Longy had a offer from Stanford before he came out of high school. And he goes, I got in a little bit of trouble. They didn't necessarily want me. Look, they've had to adjust the way that they accept kids into their program. BYU kind of has too. Not necessarily in the sense that they're just going to start letting people in, but the model that you have to be able to get the best personnel on the field it's different from school to school. Stanford is such a high bar to clear. It's just wild to me that think about the people who had Stanford offers. Who was going to go to Stanford? Taysom Hill. Think about the guys who ended up going to Stanford who were big time BYU commits. It happens the other way, but these two schools recruit against one another. The thing is that now BYU has this crazy edge over Stanford on the recruiting because they're willing to work with people, and frankly, I think we know, too, there's a little bit more of a dollar situation at BYU than there would be at Stanford. It's wild to say that BYU would be beating Stanford on, like, the money side of maybe getting guys to come to their school, but here we are in 2025.
They just care more about athletics, I think.
Well, football and basketball for sure. Right. Stanford's like, we have national champion sailing team.
Yeah,
like,
who
watch
cares
out.
about that? Like, no, that doesn't make any money.
I know, and what's crazy is they don't care. Like, they have such a massive endowment. It's almost like they don't care. They're like, yeah, but the Olympic sports are our thing, right? And you're like, nobody is going to do the Olympic sports at your school if you can't have the front porch decorated with football and basketball trophies. You know what I mean? You've got to figure out a way to get back to that greatness. They've always been competitive. They've always been able to land a good coach, get that good recruit, figure out how to get one of the top recruit quarterbacks in the state or in the country, whatever it might be. So LJ Martin, speaking of guys who were committed to Stanford before he ended up when David Shaw left the program, LJ reopened his recruiting process back in 2022. He ended up, of course, committing to BYU, and he's humming right now. He's healthy. He had a great first week of the season. Last year, he was kind of dealing with injuries going up even until week 4 or 5. And so LJ Martin, healthy, talking about going from Stanford to BYU and where that kind of took place in his life.
I really wanted to go to Stanford. My mom really wanted me to go there as well. They had a coaching change right when BYU had beat them. Had to, kind of consider other options. And then BYU came into factor. Talked to Coach Harvey for the first time that December. Just kind of came down here for the visit, really liked it. And, had to convince my mom a little bit why I shouldn't get a Stanford education. But, it's worked out pretty good so far.
How did that work, by the way? Did they come across the field at the postgame and, like, Kalani hugs him and goes, we need you? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like he was on the field, I guess. But, I mean, it's just funny that the team that he ended up going to were the ones who beat David Shaw at his very last game coaching at Stanford. But regardless, BYU, in terms of talent, I don't think we've seen this level across the board and on the two deep with a BYU team, maybe in most BYU fans' lifetimes, right? I don't think you've seen this type of recruiting ability. I don't think you've seen this type of energy around it. A sellout in front of Portland State at the beginning of the year, I'm going to be honest, that is a wild thing for a BYU. Even for BYU might say 65,000 or 64,000 in the stadium, but you can see a couple pockets maybe up in the corners. No such thing now in 2025. They do a phenomenal job getting all those tickets sold, and people are on board, and I think they think BYU is going to be able to turn something around and do something pretty exciting. But I love what LJ brings to this program. And again, like I said, he's going to make Bears' life a lot easier if he can get going on a night like tonight.
There's a palpable buzz around this BYU athletics, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, and we're seeing that, right? You know, we talk about the depth and the recruiting, and you saw a lot of it in action against Portland State. Guys that, you know, are probably a couple of years down the line from becoming solidified starters for this BYU team, right? Dominic McKenzie came in and had that crazy 41-yard run that ended up going in for a touchdown.
How fast is that guy?
They're recruiting really, really well, and you saw that a little bit against Portland State with how much of the depth and how much of the bench players were able to get in and make statements against Portland State.
McKenzie's dad, I mean, again, the other thing is get the legacy guys, right? Brian McKenzie was a BYU guy back in the day. He's got these phenomenal athletes for kids, and you can't burn that relationship. You got to make sure that the guys want to come back and want to be a part of it. That was something that Bronco wasn't great at, by the way. Alumni would come visit, and he would kind of just be like, well, this is the team that I'm worried about right here. And they felt disrespected sometimes when they'd come in. And so Kalani loves honoring the history of the program. Kalani loves being able to say, hey, I'm going to do things the way Lavelle did because that was the standard, and that is the standard. And at the same time, he's establishing something totally different. Imagine Lavelle Edwards trying to navigate the world of NIL and navigate the world of getting these players paid out. It's funny.
A funny thought.
It's funny to think of it, right? But it's a little bit of what Kyle's dealing with, and he's doing it pretty dang well. Like
he has adjusted well, yeah.
The comp is Mike Gundy, who won't budge, right? The comp is Nick Saban, who goes, can't do this anymore, right? Instead, you have Kyle Whittingham, who, whether or not this is his last year or not, you can't say he didn't embrace the way that they have started to pay players and things like that. And it's crazy to think that when I said it out loud a few minutes ago, like, hey, BYU's out recruiting Stanford because they're out paying their athletes. Like, that sounds wild to say it out loud like that, but
and that just goes to prove that Kalani Sitake is also adapted to this new era pretty dang well.
100%, and they have the staff around them that say, hey, this is where things are moving. This is where things are moving, which is also maybe if the NCAA sanctions board gets taken to court, maybe all the players get a fifth year of eligibility now, right? Like we talked about yesterday. Everybody wanting to get a piece of extra playing college football because they want to keep earning some of that money. We've got lots today on the docket. BYU versus Stanford, of course, tonight. That's an 8:15 kickoff. These late games are killer, not just for the sake of trying to keep your kids awake to watch these games. It's also killer because who's going to be wondering how BYU did last night against Stanford tomorrow when the AP voters fire it up and go, ugh, what happened to that game last night? Oh, it looks like they won. That's what's happening, right? That's exactly what they're dealing with, is a bias in those polls where no one's going to see what they did. And I know that people are going to dock it because it's quote-unquote just a bad Stanford team. I know people are going to dock it, but the biggest reason they're going to dock it is because they're just not watching these games at 2 a.m. Eastern. So, but we'll be up watching it. You guys will be up watching it. We'll have some post-game action going on. Come on.
Yeah, me and Christian will be up, and we'll have the post-game immediately following after.
I think it's funny, week one, we had the late Utah kick, right? Like, that's probably the latest game we'll have all season. Setting the tone like, okay, we're not going to get any later than this, right? But that was fun. It was a great time. Had a lot of people tune in to post-game for both BYU and Utah last week.
So. You know when basketball does that thing where they have that tournament that basically goes 24 hours? Like, we're going to start seeing that with college football where they go, and kicking off in Hawaii at 4 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Just so we can be able to be like, they're playing college football all the way through the first day of the year because these games are, kind of don't matter or whatever it might be. Those preseason tournaments in basketball are always just kind of fun eye candy for TV, but here we are. Lots going on in the program. We'll take our first break, and we're going to get to breaking down a little bit more of this BYU and Stanford matchup. We'll have our keys for you as well. We're going to get a score update across the board here. Look, I'm seeing some early touchdowns scored by some teams on the board here. We'll get you updated on that, plus much more. It is our College Football Saturday right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Win big
every Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. This Wednesday, win tickets to Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace co-headlining show. Saturday, September 27th at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Get your tickets now at livenation.com or tune in Wednesday for your chance to win free tickets. It's Win Ticket Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone.
Sophia's here to see a pig. Jerry's here to buy some. And Carl's here for the mutton busted. So where's the one place they can see and do all of this? Nowhere but the Utah State Fair. And it's going on September 4th through the 14th.
Don't miss Utah's own PRCA Rodeo September 5th, 6th, and 8th at the Days of 47 Arena. Watch the world's top cowboys and cowgirls compete in the final qualifier for the national finals. That's September 5th, 6th, and 8th only at the Utah State Fair.
So many commercials you encounter these days include generic people engaged in generic activities, frolicking in generic locations, accompanied by generic music and a generic voiceover. Pharmaceutical commercials are on the cutting edge of this phenomenon. In fact, I find myself less worried about the risk of lockjaw, intermittent loss of smell, or explosive diarrhea, and more concerned that the drug might turn me into a mannequin at Kmart. So what does this have to do with Shamrock Plumbing? Nothing, really. But if you find our commercials over the top, just remember it could be worse. They could be generic.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
10 years ago, Les Olson IT set out to do more than fix copiers and printers. We set out to become the IT team Utah businesses count on. Today, we're proud to celebrate a decade as Utah's managed IT service provider, trusted by thousands of local companies for secure, reliable tech support. Thanks for trusting us. Here's to the next 10 years of innovation, protection, and partnership. Visit lesolson.com to learn more.
Les Olson IT.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Is it me or is it musty?
Oh, damp. Check the bathroom.
Damp! Wait!
Yeah?
I'm ordering damp red!
Get rid of the damp by trapping excess moisture with Damp Rid.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's. Craving something sweet? We do ice cream right. Come in and try one of our shakes, freezes, or an ice cream cone, and you'll see why we say JCW's, quality, and a lot of it.
This is College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza. With me is Alex Kirry, Alex Napoles. Let's get a quick scoreboard update in number 2, Penn State, up 7-0 over Florida International. Number 7, Texas, tied 0-0. San Jose State, scoreless. Duke, up 3-0 over number 11, Illinois. Number 14, Florida State, up 13-0 over East Texas A&M. Number 16, Iowa State, up 3-0 over Iowa. Number 17, SMU, up 10-0 over Baylor. And number 24, Texas Tech, up 21-0 over Kent State. All of those games are about midway through the first quarter. Just a heads up, too, we are going to have Utah State kicking off at Texas A&M. That game is going to get started here in about 15 minutes. If you want to hear Scotty G on the call, you can catch that on our 1280 signal. Again, that will be Utah State at Texas A&M.
Just being more comfortable with the guys, just getting to know them a little bit better, and just being around them. I feel like I have a connection with each and every one of my teammates, and just through that, I don't feel like nothing's really changed. Just being able to just be with them, just have fun with them, and for them to be able to trust me and I trust them. I think that's what's kind of helped my role, I guess.
There you go. That is LJ Martin talking about being a leader on this BYU team as they get set to take on Stanford tonight, 8:15. All right, guys, looking at this BYU-Stanford game, from Stanford's side, I mean, we saw them come out in the surprising loss, I think, against Hawaii in week 0. And it's just tough to expect anything from an interim coach, not really know what they're doing, not really know what the program is doing. How do you think Kalani Sitake and his staff are preparing for a game like this where they just don't know what to expect, right?
Part of it is, I think, if you're Kalani, the way that they approach it is, okay, we don't know a lot about this opponent, but it's not like you really broke down Portland State film either.
You go out there and play your game.
Yeah, and so there's a reason that you have the scheme set up the way that you do. A Jay Hill defense is going to set up. They're going to actually kind of put it on the offense a little bit. What they do is they show you looks, and then they disguise looks, and then the offense has to kind of guess there. So if you win at the line of scrimmage first, then after that, the second and third levels are able to make that adjustment too. I don't think you're going to see as much of a wild set of adjustments as people might think. Just because I think Stanford, they're a little bit of a mystery because they have so many new guys. They don't know what exactly their identity is. They ran the ball for over 100 yards against Hawaii. They got a decent run game. They have a way bigger offensive and defensive line. See, that's going to be the difference. You're going to see the offensive and defensive line have to put up with some guys that they didn't have to deal with last week. I was looking at that Portland State O-line. I mean, there were a couple guys who were 6 foot, 270.
Right.
That you're not seeing that kind of stuff across those, and including at Stanford. Stanford is going to have some dudes on defense who are going to put some pressure on Bear Bachmeier, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to see how they handle it. And then the O-line's going to have to get tested as well. So win in the trenches, and then you end up kind of seeing from there where you're able to open things up a little bit. But you don't have a lot on tape, then you just go, okay, base defense, let's figure this thing out.
See, one of the things that stood out to me last week for this BYU side was their slow start. It wasn't really until that blocked field goal that Jack Kelly was able to pick up to scoop and score that really ignited the team and really got them going. There was a couple of plays in that first quarter for BYU where Bear Bachmeier was underthrowing the ball a bit. There was some miscommunication and wide receivers and the quarterback not on the same page. And to be honest, it was a slow start for BYU. And so how do they go into this game and avoid that slow start, right? Especially against a defense, like you mentioned, that's going to bring a lot more pressure, right? How is Bear Bachmeier going to handle that? That's going to be for me, one of the most important things in this first half for BYU is avoiding a slow start, because you don't want to get behind, because if you get behind, you don't want to put your true freshman quarterback in a situation where he has to face that adversity early in the season.
No, and because that's not something you count on, even if it is against Stanford. It's a situation that you don't ever want your team to be in, especially with BYU and how good this team. I mean, we saw them last week. Like you mentioned, the slow start, offense can't do anything. Tomapeo blocks a field goal with this face mask. Jack Kelly runs it in
with this face mask,
and then they come in, and that sort of wakes them up, right? But before then, I'm looking at the passing chart for Bear. He started with the completion to Chase Roberts, and then his next, I think, 3 pass attempts were incompletions after that, and then he had the 5-yard touchdown pass to Chase Roberts, but that touchdown was set up by a bunch of runs, right? So It really is. It's about when can Bear become a quarterback instead of just an athlete back behind the line of scrimmage. And I mean, he was able to make some amazing plays last week against Portland State. I'm thinking specifically of that touchdown that he scored. I've been calling it the Superman touchdown, right? He dove from like the 4-yard line, and he's just such a big body he could extend because he is a very big dude and he's a great athlete, but you can't always rely on that to win you games. And eventually we're going to have to see Bear Bachmeier drop back and distribute the football. I think against these opponents the first few weeks of the season, that's when you got to see that develop.
You're not going to see – I don't think you're going to see a lot of what's interesting is to see what happens when the offense gets into some situations of a little bit of duress, right? It's like, what are you going to do in this situation? What are you going to do here when it's a little bit of when it's dicey? You know, I'm watching this Baylor SMU game right now, and Baylor has had 2 4th downs that they're having to try to convert because they're already down 10 points early in this game, and they're showing Dave Aranda on the sideline, and you're going, these are desperate times here. They're in Dallas. Sawyer Robertson doesn't have time. They have another 4th down they're facing right here. They've already converted 2 on this drive, and you're going, okay, if BYU gets in a situation like this, maybe they get behind in games. If it's not the Stanford game, if it's East Carolina even next week, on the road, very first road test.
Right.
East Carolina's like weirdly the best team that they're facing in their out-of-conference schedule. Part of it has to do with the fact that they are facing off against a team that is 2 time zones away. And so how are you going to do when the end zones are purple, right? and it's 4th and 3. By the way, Baylor just failed that test on 4th and 2. So this is one of those moments, I think, that you look and you go, okay, what is this kid going to do in these? How did Jake Retzlaff, not to speak of the dead here, you know, in a way, he was like, but how did Jake Retzlaff figure his stuff out? He had to go 0-4, make bad decisions. And then he got to the point where he started to get into those same situations, and he made good decisions. So how is the kid going to do when he's in these spots that are a little bit more sticky? I mean, he's had zero times where he has been under pressure at all. He's had 0 times where he's had to be like, dude, we have to have this 3rd and 11 here. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. None of those moments have happened for him, and I'm interested to see how he handles it. We're going to find out a lot about him when he gets into those deals.
I think the hope tonight for BYU fans is that after this game, they have answers to those questions, right? I think you'll learn a lot more about this offense tonight than you did against Portland State. Yes, the Portland State performance was great. I don't want to knock a 69-point win because that's obviously phenomenal and a great way to start the season. But at the same time, it is a better opponent. It is an FBS-level opponent, and I think you will have a lot more answers to those questions tonight after you face the Stanford Cardinal defense.
Yeah, and we'll see how Stanford handles LJ Martin. I think that is where they're going to key in because they're going to feel like if you take away BYU's rushing attack and, yeah, if you force Bear to be a true passer, that's where Stanford has their best chance of winning. So I think they're going to be a better tackling team, especially talking about LJ Martin. Like Portland State couldn't bring him down. And if it weren't for, LJ Martin not being the fastest back on the team, he would have had a really long touchdown run. He got caught from behind, right? But other than that, it seemed like he could not get tackled. It literally looked like a college player playing against high school kids.
See, and that's the thing, though, is I think we do have a lot of answers about the run game because you know what LJ Martin is, and you know what LJ Martin's going to bring. I think Sione Moa, too, coming in is going to be a great compliment to LJ Martin. I think you know what BYU's run game is going to be. The question is the passing game. It's Bear Bachmeier, right? Is he going to be able to step up to the plate tonight and face this test against Stanford and succeed? I'm very curious to see how the true freshman will do tonight against Stanford.
A test, obviously, just because it's different. It's another week, and I will say too, it's interesting too to watch because it's a late game, and once they get to the sitting around. So here's how this works too. They stay at a hotel in Provo, right? So they stay as a team at the hotel in Provo, and they spend the whole day together. And the sitting around part with your headphones on and doing your meetings and stuff. And if you've been on the road ever with these teams and they have these late games, they're wandering around the hotel like everybody else is, and they're going and they're grabbing. They have these tables set up for them to grab food off of, and so these guys and they're watching these games. You know what I mean? They're watching the same games we are. They're kind of twiddling their thumbs a little bit. So how do you do when you wake up in the morning on a Saturday? It's 9 a.m. in Provo, and you have 12 hours till the game.
You got all day to stress about it,
right?
Yeah.
And so that's it's part of the deal. It's part of a weird kind of back and forth that these that these guys have to kind of live through. And the good news is that it's familiar to him, and it's something that he's going to learn as well. So Bear Bachmeier, great. The thing is again, the good news is they have so many guys who are leaders on that team that are not at the quarterback position that they're going to be asking a lot out of, and he can lean on those dudes. It's not just L.J. Martin either. I mean, think about all the targets that he has now. We didn't see a thing basically out of JoJo Phillips last week. That's not on him. We didn't see a thing really out of Parker Kingston in terms of like the offensive production. You didn't see a lot of targets to those guys. You didn't need to. So you have this 1-2-3 combination, and even Chase Roberts, who caught the touchdown, how many catches did he have total? 2, 3, and one of them was a touchdown.
He had one catch.
He had
for
one
4
catch
yards.
for the touchdown. Yeah, and
yeah.
so those guys are going to be leaned on a lot more on a day like today. And if you're Bear Bachmeier, they're a safety blanket for you, right?
You only had 3 receivers last week that had multiple receptions. That's Carson Ryan, Cody Hagan, and Javesa Demooney, who each had 2.
Yeah, multiple receptions.
Exactly, right? So I think that's going to be the test tonight, is figuring out how to get more guys involved, more of your veterans involved, because it's wild to me that in a game against Portland State, you only got Chase Roberts the ball once. You only got Parker Kingston the ball once. And like you mentioned, we didn't see JoJo Phillips get a reception. He's not in the box score from last week. And so
Did Tiger have any catches either?
He did. He had one. He had one for 8 yards.
Yep. Yeah. So all 4 of their top wide receivers with a total of 5 catches or whatever it is.
And there is some nuance, right? Because they pulled the starters after the first half.
No, for
and
sure.
Even in the first half, Bear only threw 11 times. But yeah, Aaron Roderick was talking about earlier in the week, like JoJo Phillips, a guy we talked about under the radar guys to keep an eye on last week, and I brought up JoJo Phillips, and yeah, no targets in this game, but you know what he did? He blocked his butt off, and that helps you run for over 400 yards when you've got receivers that are willing to do the dirty work and block, because I shouldn't say most, that's inaccurate. A lot of receivers do not enjoy blocking, but when you get guys who are willing to buy in, grind it out, it's tough to ask somebody who, they want to get the ball. It's tough to say, hey, you're not going to get the ball this game, but you got to go block. But you know what that does? When they go out and they do that and they block well, that tells the coaching staff, okay, these guys are willing to be team players, so look for them. Look for guys like JoJo,
right?
And for Kingston probably to get the ball a little bit on offense today, get them more involved. And, yeah, you're going to hopefully, I'm assuming you're going to see more than 11 passing attempts from Bear Bachmeier. So, yeah, a lot of these top guys that really didn't have to do anything last week, they are going to be more involved today because they're going to need it.
I think we have a couple more sound bites from Aaron Roderick about Bear. Here's one of the things that he said about Bear. He talked about because all of the guys that are quarterbacks for Aaron Roderick, like, they are empowered with this ability to be able to make some calls. It's gotten some of them in trouble. It got a very early edition of Jake Retzlaff in trouble when he checked down and threw that pick 6 against Oklahoma when they were on the 3-yard line or whatever it was. But Aaron Roderick says, we trust this guy with the offense, and we give him the same ability to be able to change the play at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, more than I've ever done with a freshman. We had a good number of check plays in the last game, and we have a bunch in this game too, and he's handled them very well in practice. Typically you wouldn't want to overwhelm a freshman with too many of those, but he's handled them so well in practice that we're just treating him like anybody else that's ever played quarterback for us.
Interesting, right? I mean, like, that they go, I've never done this with a freshman. And the hits continue on how smart this guy is. You could be the smartest dude in the world, though, and when you get some pressure in your face, or you get like a defense that you haven't recognized before, and then you have to check it down, and you make that mistake, you only learn that in the moment. So A-Rod also talking about what he expects out of Bear versus Stanford tonight.
Just continue doing his job. Just do more of the same. Obviously, he's going to have to throw more than 11 times to win this game. Playing a quality opponent that we have a lot of respect for, and so if he can just take another step forward, but doesn't need to do anything special, just keep doing what he did last game, just a little bit bigger sample size this game.
Nothing special from Bear. That is what Coach Aaron Roderick wants to see. Just go out there, keep playing your game.
Don't screw it up, kid.
Don't screw it up,
Don't
kid.
turn the ball over.
We've got a good thing going.
But if you do, we're here for you. It's like a lot of good hugs and feelings. Soon you got to protect this guy a little bit, but at the same time, I want to see what he does when he's scrambling. I want to see what he does when he's got a blitz in his face that somebody forgot to pick up. You know what I mean? Those are the kinds of things you were saying it about tomorrow. You're gonna be able to have some moments where you go, okay, you had to see him go do X, Y, and Z in this game. I like the kid having to get some pressure here, and I hope Stanford brings it.
It might be a little crazy to say, but I kind of hope that he does have just one moment of whether it's a turnover, whether it's a fumble, something, just to see how he, as a true freshman, is able to handle that adversity, right? You want to see how he's able to do in a moment where he does end up messing up a play and how he responds to that, because I think that will speak not only a lot about who he's going to be as a football player, but just his attitude of where he is in his development.
And to build on that, you hope that comes against Stanford,
right,
and not against Texas Tech.
Yes, exactly. Not in a big moment in a big game against a big club opponent, right? This is those chances and those opportunities for you to make those mistakes.
Yeah. It is 10:46. That means two things. Number one, Utah State kicking off at Texas A&M. Again, if you want to hear our own Scotty G on the call, voice of the Aggies, down there in College Station, he is on the call there. You can find that on our 1280 AM signal. That game is underway. And for us, we got to take a break. And coming up next on the other side, we'll get to some of our keys to the game for BYU tonight against Stanford. Stay tuned. It's College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You've been listening to The Zone for decades.
Yes!
But now you can watch the guys break down your favorite teams.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Catch the video stream of DJ and PK, Jake and Ben, Hanson Scotty, and JJ and Alex right now at KSLSports.com or by searching KSL Sports on YouTube. Utah's best sports radio is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Garden Restaurant has been open for a few months, and if you haven't stopped by, now is the time to get downtown and check out what everyone's been raving about. And if you have visited the new space, schedule a time to come on back. Grab a friend and come visit one of Salt Lake's best gathering spots for lunch. You'll be greeted by the delicious smell of fresh baked goods, like our famous Lionhouse rolls, perfect for taking home for family dinners. Or maybe you have a sweet tooth and are craving one of our brand new cinnamon rolls. They're the size of a dinner plate and perfect for sharing between a group of friends. Come smell and taste the garden for yourself. Enjoy the beautifully reimagined space and convenient location with new street access on the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. Open weekdays 11 to 3. Choose from healthy and delicious options like the turkey pot pie, jalapeno pork and grilled cheese sandwiches, tomato bisque soup, and nut and berry salad. All favorites not to be missed. So much to choose from. Check out the menu at thegardenslc.com. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant.
Tom, I'm on the sideline here with Doug Smith Chevy. Doug, the NCAA has changed its rules regarding NIL money. What do I have to do to land an amazing new 2025 Chevy Silverado?
Just come on down to Doug Smith Chevy in Spanish Fork.
Doug, I'm more than happy for you to use my name, image, and likeness to talk about these amazing new trucks all you want. All I want to know is, how do I get one?
You have to buy it, Scott.
Drop into Doug Smith Chevy in Spanish Fork. No one knows Chevy like Doug.
Ticket packages for the Utah Mammoth 2025-26 season are available now. From full season and half-season packages to mini plans and other flexible options, choose the ticket package that fits you best and be part of the action all season long. Call or text 801-325-POC to talk with a rep or visit nhl.com/Utah/tickets/season tickets to learn more.
Discover the exceptional value of Bar W Beef, where quality meets convenience. Bar W Beef's dry-aged beef, aged for 14 days, offers rich marbling and tender texture, perfect for grilling, roasting, or pan-searing. Enjoy the rich flavor and generous size. Shipped directly from the ranch to your door. Now hosting one-day pop-up events, go to barwbeef.com to find a pop-up event near you, or stop into the store in Nephi for weekly in-store specials. barwbeef.com. That's barwbeef.com.
Utah deserves better. If your lights flicker, breakers trip, or something just doesn't feel safe, the last thing you need is someone trying to tell you your electrical panel needs to be replaced, your house needs to be rewired, and you should probably rewire your neighbor's house too. But sadly, that's exactly what's happening since a lot of home service companies have been bought out by private equity groups that are focused on profits and not people. At Your Service Pros is different. We're Utah-based, family-owned, and built on trust, not quotas. That's why we offer a full electrical inspection for just $49. We'll check everything, your panel, wiring, outlets, grounding, and give you an honest report. If it's safe, we'll say so. If it's not, we'll explain exactly what needs to be done and help you fix it the right way, without pressure. We've served Utah families for over 20 years, and we're proud of the 4.9-star rating from people who trust us to do things right. So call out Your Service Pros today at 801-YOUR-PRO to schedule your $49 electrical inspection. That's 801-YOUR-PRO, because Utah deserves better.
Adventuring in the Wasatch Back this summer?
Stop into Dairy King in Heber, now serving pumpkin shakes.
And check out their huge gluten-free menu. Dairy King, on Main Street, home of the trade and best of state shakes.
The KSL Sports Zone and Hercules Credit Union are highlighting people that impact youth sports. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com.
You're locked on to College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back into College Football Saturday here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. That's Christian Esparza, Alex Kirry sitting across from me at the desk. I'm Alex Napoles. Keys to the game tonight for the BYU-Stanford game. Again, that one kicks off at 8:15 tonight. You can catch that on ESPN or head down to LaVell Edwards Stadium and feel the atmosphere. Get in there and support Bear Bachmeier.
It was so crazy last week.
I will give him that, right? You can feel it through the broadcast. Alex, you were there.
Yeah.
How was the environment?
I've said this. A certain game comes to mind from a few years ago, and I mean they played Portland State back in 20. Actually, you know what? You can actually go see. I'm going to see this. So Portland State and BYU. Pardon me while I do a little bit of on-air producing, but like I had this thought, and I was like, I wonder what. Because when they have the old box scores up and they'll show you what the attendance was, there was a moment in time between 2017 and 2020 when those opening games, and especially the ones that were against FCS opponents, and even ones that were middle of the day. Now, some of it is that what made last week so crazy is that they're not even in school yet. Like they hadn't started school yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for the Rock to be as wild as it was, I've never seen the student section that way. And when I attended BYU, there were USC versus BYU hosted USC at LaVell Edwards Stadium, and I don't think it was ever that crazy. They hosted Notre Dame at LaVell Edwards Stadium when I was there, and it wasn't that crazy. And those are games that like are automatic sellouts. They should be, and they never really were. But there was a San Jose State game that kicked off a few years ago between BYU and the Spartans, and it was just awful. The end zones were like it was just bare. And then when they announced the attendance and they were like 48,000, whatever, everyone looked around and went, "Yeah, right." Like even though they had to announce it almost 20,000 fewer than they normally put in the stadium, we all were like, "No, that's not even that," you know? And because when you're sitting in the media booth and we're watching this thing go down, we were all like, we're looking at each other going, "That is sparse."
Yeah.
That is sparse out there. So no school in session. BYU, and we've said it like year over year, and you have to do this now, by the way. You have to create a carnival atmosphere. You have to entertain the people that are in the stands. And they do a masterful job of doing it. The NFL games, if you guys have ever gone to NFL games, they are sterile in person. They are hard to watch in person because it is built for TV. And even though you're seeing the red hat come on the field and some of these TV breaks are 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes for BYU and Portland State last week, and it's going to get worse this week because they're going to be on the big network. To me, it was just phenomenal to see how much they came out, and it's a crazy atmosphere. They've established a standard that hasn't been at BYU in terms of like an environment that we've seen in a long, long time. So credit to them, and it's been like that up at Rice Eccles for a while too. Like they create an atmosphere that people want to be in there and they want to be a part of it, and it's exciting, and then the crowd actually gets into it. I hate an uneducated crowd. I really do. It's the worst. It's the worst when like somebody, and it's like, that was holding, ref, and you're like, oh my gosh, no, it wasn't. Or that's not a hold, and you're like, absolutely it was. You know what I'm saying? Like you watch some of these and you go, I can't stand when a crowd doesn't know what they're watching and they're actively watching the game. They're actively into it. So it's a good point because the atmosphere isn't just amazing. It's changed over the past like 5 or 8 years. It's gotten way better. And that's huge for these guys. Like these kids come in here, and it's one thing to show up as a recruit and to see, oh man, the atmosphere is electric here. It's another to play in it,
right?
And to have that atmosphere against Portland State,
you feed off of it.
Yeah, I mean, and so it's as good as advertised type of a situation, right? Where it's like they advertised that it was going to be like this for these players when they came in, and it's exactly that, or actually maybe even a little bit more. So, environment wise, can't beat it. Can't beat it. LaVell Edwards Stadium and Rice Eccles Stadium in the Big 12 are as good of environments, if not the best two, home game atmospheres, I think, in the entire conference.
I think that's one of the things that makes college football amazing, is the environments, is the student sections, is the way that the stadiums are able to get into the games. And I think that we're really lucky here in the state of Utah to have two of some of the better, more incredible college environments here in the state of Utah, with both Rice Eccles and Lavelle Edwards.
Well, it's intimidating, right? At the end of the day, like, yes, it's cool for the fans and whatever. What I care about is it's intimidating for the other guys. You make it hard for the other team to come in here and get a win because they can't hear what's going on in the huddle, because they are literally shaking in their boots from 65,000 people going crazy.
It's loud.
Being at home, watching the game from, on TV, on the broadcast, and the camera is shaking in the third quarter of a game that ends up being 69-0. That was not competitive at all, but the crowd is going crazy through all four quarters. Like, that is their job. And literally, I mean, that's why the Seahawks call it the 12th man, right? Like, when it is as good as it gets, it is such an advantage to the home team. That's why, bringing up the Utes and BYU as well, like, that's why their home records are so good over the last few years, because the home environments are so raucous.
Christian, keys to the game for BYU Stanford. What are you looking for tonight in this game? I think
my biggest thing for this one is you just got to stop the run if you're BYU. Looking at what Stanford did against Hawaii, they had 177 rush yards against Hawaii. They only threw for about 109, and that was on 30 pass attempts, by the way. Gulbranson was 15 of 30 with an interception. So I don't think he's going to come in and dice up BYU's defense, but I do think they're going to try and establish the run, and I trust in BYU's defensive line and that incredible linebacking group. I mean, we've barely talked about Isaiah Glasker and Jack Kelly during this hour.
Those
I
guys
think
are dudes,
they
man.
played lights out last week, and I think today's game especially hinges on them, because it seemed like the rushing attack was really all Stanford had against Hawaii. So if you can come in and take that away and force Stanford to beat you through the air, I really like BYU's chances of dominating this game.
For me, I hate how you guys limit me to just one, first of all, okay? I've got a lot. No, I put 0 interceptions in fumbles. 0 fumbles, 0 interceptions for Bear. They might have a turnover here and there, as an offense. You don't want it. You don't want that, but I think as long as you keep this kid clean for a minute, you know what I mean? Like, even if he is under duress a little bit, don't get wild. Don't throw a ball you have no business throwing. Don't get outside the pocket and then get strip sacked or whatever it might be. Secure that football, kid. And I think that that to me will create a lot of that confidence that he needs to say, hey, I'm not handing the ball away. You know what I mean? And so it was a good, clean week last week for him. Stay in that kind of category again, and if you keep the offense on the field and don't hand it away, then you're going to be in a good spot. So I think no interceptions, no fumbles, keep it clean for him, and he'll boost that confidence a lot more.
I think for me, what I'm looking for the most is I think Aaron Roderick said it best, right? You're not going to beat this team with 11 pass attempts. So to me, I'm looking at getting the vets involved, right? Get Chase Roberts involved, get JoJo Phillips involved, get Parker Kingston involved. Those are guys that need more than one catch.
And they're going to be in all game. Like, you hope they stay in all game.
Maybe 3 quarters. Who knows?
I feel like if in this one, you're going to have to lean heavily on those veteran players to get you over Stanford. And so get them involved early, get them involved quick, and make sure to keep them involved. And hopefully we see an improved passing attack from Bear Bachmeier and this BYU offense. We're going to take a break. On the other side, we'll dive into Utah versus Cal Poly. We'll talk about Devin Dampier and that offense and what they did against UCLA and what we're looking for them to do against an FCS opponent in Cal Poly. That's coming up on the other side here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether you're stuck in the office,
I believe you have my stapler,
in your car, or at your in-laws.
You want a piece of me? You bet I do.
The Zone is with you every step of the way. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows and access to all the latest updates on your favorite teams. Your home for the best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Are you looking to upgrade your outdoor space? Mountain Land Supply has you covered with Keystone Pavers, the trusted name in durability and design. With easy installation, weather-resistant strength, and a wide range of beautiful styles, Keystone Pavers turn any yard into a dream getaway. And here's the bonus. Right now, Mountain Land contractors get double peak points on all Keystone purchases over $1,000. Head to your local Mountain Land Supply or visit mountainland.com today. Your perfect patio starts here.
Welcome to fall in Cedar City and Bryan Head, Utah, the perfect place to stay for scenic drives, colorful leaves, and cool mountain air. Experience Cedar Breaks and Zion National Park at their best. And while you're in town, catch one of our festivals to enjoy some small town charm. Pick out your favorite flannel and don't forget the pumpkin spice because Cedar City is waiting for you. We've got something for everybody, so check out visitcedarcity.com to plan your next trip.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's. Not feeling a burger? We've got you covered. Try one of our hot ribeye, turkey, or BLT sandwiches, and you'll understand why we say JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services Studio, this is 97.5 KZNS FM Colbert, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and 102.7 KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Counting you down to kickoff. This is College Football Saturday with Alex Kirry, Christian Esparza, and Alex Napoles on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. It's another edition of College Football Saturday right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I get this question sometimes like, you guys actually there? Yeah, we are actually here.
Actually where? In the studio?
I'm here right now. Yeah.
How else would we be doing this?
I mean,
you can watch. You can tune in.
Exactly.
KSL Sports on YouTube. You can go watch us, or you can go to KSLSports.com. The video stream is there. If you don't believe that we're actually live recording this, where else would we be?
I'm here right now. Okay, let's go. I was gonna tell you guys too. One of the interesting things about Arch Manning's back. All right, we freaked out about him. He's back to being All-American status. All right, he threw for 2 touchdowns in the first quarter against San Jose State.
Good for him.
Texas is up currently 21-0. Hold on a minute. Hold the phone. How'd they score this time? They're up 21-0 at the very beginning of the second quarter. So things going well for Arch. He already had 110 yards passing in the first quarter, 2 touchdowns, 6 for 8.
Don't you know that he's the greatest thing that happened in college football?
Yeah. No, I know. And that's why this doesn't shock me.
Come on,
I think last week was
a generational talent.
all of the
4th generational talent we've had in
all of the oh yeah. And like
it's too many of those.
The poor kid, like he doesn't even care about the commercials and stuff. He's doing fine, like NIL wise, and people are like, "Nice job. Looks like you've been recording more commercials than you've been throwing touchdowns, bro." And this poor kid is like, "I'm just out here trying to make a living."
What do you expect him to say no to a check? Like, what do you want?
Right, and it's not like he's doing it for Hooters. He's doing Warby Parker eyeglasses. You know what I mean? Like, let the kid get some money from NIL and leave him alone, man. Let him throw some touchdowns on the San Jose State guys. Come on, man. So there's lots going on here. By the way, as we focus on Utah this hour, as we watch how this team is going to face off against Cal Poly, an FCS opponent, it's hard to go from all the hype of getting into last week in the year starting off at the Rose Bowl against UCLA, an opponent that you kind of are familiar with, a former conference opponent, and a Power 4 team at their place late at night, and they ran that thing up, man. I mean, they could have made it worse. It could have been 50-10 easily. They could have scored again. And instead, now you have to go to this, like, all the way up there to now trying to maintain that same standard, which I don't doubt that they'll do. But it is hard for me to go from that whiplash of UCLA, and some teams do this, right? Like, I think Ohio State, Texas is doing it too. They played a really tough opponent at the front end. And then week 2, we go, all right.
Dial it back a bit.
Let's get your feet under you again. Let's get some of these guys healthy again. And that's the real difference, right, between college football and professional football. It's like, man, they just go straight at it in the NFL. There's no version of waiting around, and I love that about it. You're going to have some cupcake games here going on. I think that's why we really hate it in November when the SEC has those cupcake games, and you go, why are you doing this? We're supposed to be in the middle of football season. Exactly. Don't play a cupcake opponent. Let's go. So Utah versus Cal Poly. Money game for Cal Poly. And really a game for you to establish yourself again at home. It's a home opener. They're going to have the Ring of Honor ceremony. You're going to see Ronnie Mack get the nod and be in the Ring of Honor. Absolutely deserving for Coach to be there. And so it's going to be a fun day up there. 4 o'clock kickoff. I will tell you right now, our KSL crew and our tailgate that we have set up on Guardsman Way right there at Roland Hall High School, if you walk past that, if you're going to the game and you're going to be walking, so many people park right there and then they walk past down Guardsman Way. I know that we have treats. I know that we have donuts set up there. I know we're going to have a good time. You can get the kids playing some cornhole and get them going before the game, hang out, get out of the sun a little bit, get under our shade tents and hang out. But we're going to be up there all the way up until kickoff from noon all the way till 4. So if you show up at the
that's a fun time.
It's a pre-game. It's but like if you show up at noon, that's also you're very late to tailgating. The hardcore tailgaters are like, we're here Thursday, man. So, but if you want to have the experience, go by. Our KSL booth is going to be set up. We're going to have it all right there for you. And grab a donut, say hi to our folks up there, and it's going to be all the way from noon to 4, right there on Guardsman Way, in front of Roland Hall that school complex is right there. So set it up right there. Go hang out. In the meantime, Utah and Cal Poly. First, let's break down that UCLA game. The things that impressed you the most right off of the bat about this team. It's easy to just go, well, they scored 43 points, man. The offense is back. But it was less about that and more just a vibe for me. It was an attitude. You saw a cool, calm, collected offense and defense from Utah. Like they were in control of this thing from the very get-go. They were the team that wanted this more. They controlled the entire narrative, the entire game. It was a joke. It was a joke to see UCLA come out so flat. It was a joke that people threw Nico out there as being this, this football god down there in Southern California. Utah showed up and did what Utah football normally does, and I don't know if they're totally fully back yet. I don't think we're going to necessarily find that out this week too, but it was a great start for that new offense that Jason Beck is up there calling plays. He got high praise from Witt this week, and so did Devin Dampier. First thoughts on how this thing went down at the Rose Bowl last week?
I think going back to having to wake up for this game, right? Whittingham talked a lot about starting the season with a UCLA as opposed to an FCS school or whatever. And one of the lines he used, he said, our guys have been looking forward to this since January, right? And I think that was pretty apparent because they came out and smacked them right in the mouth like immediately. And it was very clear that they just wanted to establish dominance early on. And we'll see how that attitude continues because, you start at that really high and then you got to come down a little bit for Cal Poly. But they just had their way, man. And I was so convinced that the first play of the season was going to be like a QB run for Dampier. But Witt's been telling us all offseason, hey, get ready to see Smith Snowden and Landon Barton on offense. And sure enough, they showcase him right out of the gates. Yeah. So I think it was clearly, an instance of Utah just wanting to play the mental game and just, again, come out, smack them right in the mouth right away and show that they are going to be the dominant team for all 4 quarters. And there was never really a time when UCLA matched that attitude, and that's what Utah does.
I think, obviously, what stands out is Devin Dampier. 21 for 26, 206 yards passing, the 2 touchdowns, plus yet an additional 87 yards rushing and an additional rushing touchdown for Devin Dampier. I mean, obviously that's what's going to stand out. But I think for me, what stood out the most was the team effort we saw from Utah, right? 30 first downs in this game. The third down efficiency was 14 out of 16 tries. That's insane. There was times last year where Utah's offense were on the field, they got in third down situations, and there wasn't a lot of confidence that they would be able to pick it up and continue the drives, right? That's one of the big reasons why they struggled last season. The confidence on third down just wasn't there. And to start it off with the 14-16 conversion, that's incredible. Plus, you look at the defensive side, you only allowed UCLA 14 first downs.
Well, and you look at the third down conversion from UCLA.
2 to 11. 2 for 11.
It was terrible. I think the thing that happens when this season reset and, whether or not you want to say Utah's back or whatever it is, I mean, the reality is that this is what people expected last season, and it's just happening now, right? I mean, yeah. What's crazy is that I think this is the team that people were expecting last year, and it just, what a difference an offense makes, right? What a difference that bringing in a whole different staff is going to make. And I think this is also part of Kyle Whittingham's evolution, which is crazy to say that he's evolving because he is. Because we're watching Iowa and Iowa State right now, and Kirk Ferentz, who's the winningest coach right now of active FBS coaches, and he's been doing it for 100 years. I think he's the only one who's more tenured than Coach Whittingham and Mike Gundy are.
Yep,
and
he is.
And he just does the same thing. You know what I mean? And he's just. This Iowa team always has really good defenses, and it's great and fine. But Kyle Whittingham to go, my best player's on defense, I'm going to put him on offense. Like, that takes somebody telling you, hey, there's a trend here. We can make this work. Our best players can work for us on that offensive side of the football. It confuses the defenses. It gives different looks. You can take that out of the offense or put it back in at any time. So for me, to watch Kyle Whittingham, who normally tells defensive guys, you're on defense, bro, or he tells even the great offensive guys, I need you playing defensive back, and instead now he's moving and he's going, I'm good with this. I'm good with being able to have these guys on offense. I'm okay to have this type of stuff that normally I wasn't doing, and I think it's part of that. And to see the defense flying around like they did, that only happens when you're confident in that offense.
Specifically Smith Snowden, who, by the way, was your leading receiver against UCLA. 6 receptions, 51 yards.
Quick stat before we continue to talk about the some of these guys. Looking at the third down conversion percentage, right? We talked about 15 of 17 last week. That's well over 80%. Do you know what they were last year? Either of you guys off the top of your head?
Oh, no.
Any guesses?
Probably not good. I'll say So what was the?
They were 15 of 17 last week.
Right.
And
so,
last year, on the year, they were 32%. That's 56 of 171.
I was thinking 35%.
So that, in terms of national ranking too, that's got to put them in the hundreds. I bet.
I don't have the national rankings
at least in the
pulled up. This is just
end.
a stat. But yeah, I mean, 30% on third down is atrocious.
So part of that was that they had no run.
There's a lot of parts to it. They couldn't do anything.
But like they were in a lot of third and longs, and then you're asking Isaac Wilson to do stuff that he just wasn't ready for yet.
Right. So that's just a clear. I mean, again, you talk about how you want to set the tone for the season coming out in week 1. That is what Utah did, and this is not an offense that's going to come and put up big chunk 15, 20, 30-yard plays every single game. This is an offense that is going to get 4 or 5 yards a play every single play. That's why they had 30 first downs. That's why they ran so many plays. That's why they dominated the time of possession. They are just going to, I used this term last week in the postgame show, and I think it's very accurate. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like, this team is just going to grind you to death.
Here's what Kyle Whittingham had to say about the offense and what they took away from it. High praise, obviously, for his brand new offensive coordinator and also for his new quarterback.
Ran the football well, threw it efficiently, converted third downs really well. Red zone, outstanding. Didn't turn the ball over, 0 turnovers, and really never had any lulls in the offense. And we only punted 1 time. We had 10 possessions, 7 touchdowns, a field goal, a punt, and end of game. So anyway, it was very positive, and it was good to see the offense executing the way they did for the full 60 minutes.
Kyle Whittingham. He also went on to talk about how he's like, I'm loving it. He's a masterful play caller, talking about Jason Beck. And it's kind of interesting because he's talking about him almost like he's one of his players. He's like, yeah, he's just doing a phenomenal job. We hope he can keep it up. You know, I was like,
good job, buddy.
Well, and then you're like, you're in the same meetings, right? But you have this vibe that Kyle Whittingham's going, hey, we brought you in. You told us you could do X, Y, and Z for us. Keep it going. Prove it. You know what I mean? And I think that Jason Beck's taken that opportunity so far, and he's run with it. And, you know, the real test of whether or not, you know, this offense is legit, I don't think it's about whether or not it's legit or not. I think we can tell they have the athletes, man. They have all these folks who can make plays for them, and they asked everybody to do it last week, not just their defensive guys, but also their guys who are absolutely the mainstays. This offensive line is just phenomenal. Here's what he said about the line of scrimmage, Kyle Whittingham, because it wasn't just on the offensive. We knew the offensive line was going to be good. The defensive line dominated UCLA too. Here's what he had to say about how big of a deal it is in the trenches to win that battle.
Really, the success, in my opinion, of the entire game started in the line of scrimmage. We did a good job controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. That was the biggest difference.
I mean, you don't really ever look and go, man, Utah doesn't usually have a very good defensive line. Like, that's their bread and butter. You know what I mean? Like, they are absolutely dialed up. Like, this is a team that's always good in the trenches on the defensive side of the football. You knew the offensive line was going to be good this year, but I didn't expect we were all kind of waiting to go, all right, how are you going to replace Tanavasa? How are you going to figure this? And they're doing it. And it's not just that they're doing it. They are going to be one of the better defensive lines in the entire conference, and that's with Texas Tech, who's got like a couple of preseason All-Americans. That's with TCU, who's got a couple good guys. Cincinnati even's got that Don Corleone guy who's been awesome for the past 3 years for them. Like, this D-line is going to be deep. They're going to be really, really good, and that's the best part about this is to watch these guys. You can see, I'm an O-line guy, and so I'm always looking down that. Just watch the middle of the field and just watch where that push is. And in the first 10 plays, you go, oh, okay, this isn't very fair. like you knew on both sides of the football, you knew what was going on there. So I'm excited to see what they do week 2 on the offensive side of the football. Just I hope they run the ball 30 times with Wayshawn Parker. I hope he has one of those 200-yard days. I think he really, really could against Cal Poly too.
And that's something we haven't really hit on yet is the rushing game. Obviously, Devin Dampier had the 87 yards with the 16 carries, but I thought we saw a lot of really great things out of both Wayshawn Parker and Akari Rogers.
Yep.
Rogers, 16 carries for 61 yards. Wayshawn went 11 for 62. Both had touchdowns in that Week 1 contest against UCLA. We talked a lot about them, coming in and filling in for Mekhi, or taking over for Mekhi Bernard, and those two were going to be the 1-2 punch, and we got our first taste of it last week, and I thought they did pretty well.
Are you okay with 16 rushes, by the way, by Dampier?
Not every week, but
you'll take it. I think this one you'll take it.
I think Witt is okay.
I think it's a mentality thing. I think it was really about coming out and really just asserting dominance. And I don't know if Utah has the capability to come in and throw 80-yard touchdown passes, right? That's not how they're going to dominate games. They're going to dominate games by running the ball 54 times for 286 yards and having a 10-minute drive in the third quarter. So I think it really was about, let's showcase all of these fun positionless players, right? Let's have Smith Snowden have some fun. Let's have Leonard Barton score a touchdown. Let's have Devin Dampier run a lot. Let's have both of our running backs involved. And then from there, the game plan is going to change week to week. But I think it really was just about saying, I'm not afraid to put all my cards on the table week one and go all in. And I'm sure, obviously, Jason Beck has a lot of tricks up his sleeve still. He didn't showcase everything. But I think it really was just a case of Utah wanted to kind of make a statement to the country and say, we're back.
Oh, and they did. And they did, because we heard it from all types of national outlets and all type of national pundits who came out and said, "Look, this Utah team might be the real deal."
And they're not getting enough. They're not getting enough respect, right? That's
25.
25 for them, for national guys to be using Utah as the example of what's wrong with the AP poll. I think that speaks a lot to what Jason Beck and this offense are going to be able to do this season, right? For them to come out and say, "Look, Utah impressed. They're a team who's being disrespected right now in the poll." I think, of course, that just speaks a lot to Kyle Whittingham, to Jason Beck, and to that coaching staff of being able to rebuild this offense after what you saw last year, the debacle from last year.
The debacle. I guess, for lack of a better word, a debacle. I mean, it's like, you know what, Coach? You've said it about 50 times in the offseason. I think we get it. I think you thought it was a debacle. I think that's what we've learned from this. Here's Devin Dampier talking about the red zone and how important it is for them to not just get into that red zone and score, but also to make sure that they can control that clock. They did it masterfully this past weekend. Here's what Devin Dampier said about being able to convert inside that red zone.
Take red zone very seriously. If we get all the way in there, 7 points is more than 3. So big emphasis to make sure that we score when we get in there, and just to carry that all the way to the fourth quarter as a mindset, coming out of halftime, let's finish this game.
So I think Devin Dampier is, one, comfortable where he's at. He knows what he's being asked of. And I think that as soon as they got him in, they pointed to the wall, because I'll tell you, up at Utah, what they have up in the football facility is they take care of the football is right up there, and they know that he knows that he can't give away the football. He certainly can't do it in the red zone. This is a guy I think who's bought all the way in on all of this. Speaking of the guys who've bought in, Caleb Lomu, one of the best offensive linemen in the entire country, might only be the second best on this offensive line, but that's fine, because you have a bona fide, like, maybe top three pick in the draft on your O-line with Spencer Fano. But here's what Caleb Lomu said about the offensive line setting the tone.
It was huge. One thing Coach Harding talks about a lot is the offensive goal, how offensive line goes. So if we go out there, do our job, dominate the line of scrimmage, which is one of our goals, and then that tends to lead to the rest of the offense to build their confidence. And as long as there's dominance on the line of scrimmage moving the ball, then that will contribute all the way around.
All right, so one of the things that they want to have happen, obviously, is to not just control the line of scrimmage, because controlling the line of scrimmage means you're actually controlling the clock as well. Everybody talked this week about that 20-play drive that they went 86 yards on in almost 10 minutes, and that didn't just kill UCLA. They were already losing by 3.5 touchdowns. But when they did that, I think it showed the rest of the country, like, oh no, this team's dialed in to an extent that is absolutely wild. Like, nobody is going to miss. Nobody's going to miss on this team. You know what I mean? Like, it will take a lot. The discipline is back. I think that's the thing that impressed me the most is they flew around the entire game, and UCLA, I mean, even when they were up by 4 touchdowns, UCLA had no answer, and then they had zero confidence. And I got some real Caleb Williams vibes from Nico Iamaleava, right? Like just slumped over on the sideline, put the towel on his head. like by the end of the third quarter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the dude was pouting.
Yes.
And I just don't think there's any place for that on a team where you're asked to be a leader. That's what we would always diss on Caleb Williams for that. And you're like, dude, you're the Heisman Trophy winner. And when he went 7-5 his senior season, like, and he's all just pouting on the sidelines and crying about stuff, and you're going, dude, your team needs you right now, man. And I just think that so many of the leaders on this Utah team, they show up for this one, and so it was pretty impressive to have. We've got to break down, unfortunately, this Cal Poly and Utah game. Alex Napoles has got some huge offensive numbers of what the Mustangs put out last week against San Diego. All right, so we're going to talk about that. We'll break all those down. We've got much more to go around the corner. It's our College Football Saturday. Want to remind you, starting at noon, up on Guardsman Way in the Roland Hall parking lot, you're going to see the KSL tailgate going for you. We're going to get this thing kicked off with some donuts for you, some treats on your way to the stadium. Walk by, play some games with the kids, get them going as well. So hang out with us up there on Guardsman Way at Roland Hall, starting at noon all the way up until kickoff for the University of Utah versus Cal Poly. Stay right here with us. More to go around the corner. It is our College Football Saturday, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now, it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
G-Bang! G-Bang!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
The Garden Restaurant has been open for a few months, and if you haven't stopped by, now is the time to get downtown and check out what everyone's been raving about. And if you have visited the new space, schedule a time to come on back. Grab a friend and come visit one of Salt Lake's best gathering spots for lunch. You'll be greeted by the delicious smell of fresh baked goods, like our famous Lionhouse rolls, perfect for taking home for family dinners. Or maybe you have a sweet tooth and are craving one of our brand new cinnamon rolls. They're the size of a dinner plate and perfect for sharing between a group of friends. Come smell and taste the garden for yourself. Enjoy the beautifully reimagined space and convenient location with new street access on the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. Open weekdays 11 to 3. Choose from healthy and delicious options like the turkey pot pie, jalapeno pork and grilled cheese sandwiches, tomato bisque soup, and nut and berry salad. All favorites not to be missed. So much to choose from. Check out the menu at thegardenslc.com. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant.
Tom, I'm on the sideline here with Doug Smith Chevy. Doug, the NCAA has changed its rules regarding NIL money. What do I have to do to land an amazing new 2025 Chevy Silverado?
Just come on down to Doug Smith Chevy in Spanish Fork.
Doug, I'm more than happy for you to use my name, image, and likeness to talk about these amazing new trucks all you want. All I want to know is how do I get one?
You have to buy it, Scott.
Drop in a Doug Smith Chevy in Spanish Fork. No one knows Chevy like Doug.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
The KSL Sports Zone and Hercules Credit Union are highlighting people that impact youth sports. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com.
This is College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for a scoreboard update, but we've got Utah State playing right now at Texas A&M. Score is 10-6. Utah State got the touchdown on a fourth down touchdown pass from backup quarterback Anthony Garcia. Here's Scotty G on the call.
Motions Garcia. Garcia gets the handoff, rolls right, throwing all the way to the far side as a man. Caught. Touchdown, Utah State. How about that? Garcia in trouble. Rolled right, rolled left, throw it back to the far side of the field, and Miles Davis has the touchdown reception, and the Aggies are an extra point away from tying this game.
Little bit of trickery there from fourth down for Utah State. They would go for two on the extra point attempt, and they missed that. So again, the score is 10-6. We'll see how this game goes. If you want to catch the live broadcast, you can hear Scotty G on our 1280 AM signal. All right, let's get back into this Utah-Cal Poly game. Let's break down some of Cal Poly, what we saw from them in their win against San Diego last week, Alex.
Yeah, Napoles, what'd you see, bro? From the Mustangs.
Look,
now, hold on. Did they win last week, though?
They did. They were able to win. They won
41-17.
Both teams coming off of a big win.
Both teams coming off of a big win. You know, the San Diego Toreros. Tough team.
Right, not San Diego State.
Nope,
San Diego.
Nope. San Diego. Tough team. They did put up 335 passing yards against a poor San Diego defense. And so Ty Diefenbach, their quarterback, he's going to be a real challenge for this Utah defense, man.
Diefenbach?
Yeah.
Did we get ChatGPT to check that one for us?
We should.
Diefenbach. All right, listen.
Diefenbach.
Look,
263 through there is pretty good, though.
That's good. Yeah.
And
Is
two
that what their-
touchdowns, no interceptions.
But is that their thing? Is that what their strength is? Is they throw the football a lot?
They were pretty evenly split. They had 33 pass attempts, 38 carries. They ran for 134 yards, so that's about 3.5 per. Not a great average on the ground.
Defense. So,
well, they're FCS as well.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Is I think they're going to have a tough go.
Oh, they will.
I think they're going to have a tough go against this defense. The defensive backfield for Utah is phenomenal, and I mean, you're going to see. I think you're going to see Smith Snowden feasting today. If you don't have at least one pick from that cat, I'll be surprised.
I want to talk about Smith a little bit because we saw quite a bit of him on offense last week. It was kind of a lot of hubbub on social media after, people were pulling the stat numbers from like Pro Football Focus and things like that. About 45 total snaps for Smith Snowden, 25 on offense, I think, and then the rest on defense. Obviously, with them running so many plays offensively, that kind of skews the numbers of how many total plays were ran. But do you think – so that's basically about half of the snaps on offense and half of the snaps on defense. Do you guys think that is about the split that we're going to continue to see from Smith Snowden, or do you think that was more of just trying to showcase him a little bit, get some tape out there and make teams prepare for him, kind of like we saw the Dijon Stanley wheel route 3 times against SUU last year and then never saw it again, right? So I don't know. How much do you guys read into those numbers of, how many snaps Smith Snowden is playing?
What did he have? 5 catches for like 50 yards or something like that? 5 or 6 catches?
6 catches for 51 yards.
He also had, I thought he ran the ball too.
He did.
3 carries for 15 yards.
And the touchdown.
Run.
Yep.
Yeah, on that end around. Well, and you know what? That jet sweep situation, like, you don't have to do it every week, but try it once every week with Smith Snowden. Like, why not set it up? Use it in an opportune moment. I don't think. What did Kyle say this week? We're going to continue to use them as much as we need to use them and as much as we can. Like, they're going to get. I think you're just going to try to get creative and try to be consistent with it. It wasn't like hey, how gimmicky was this first week? It's like, no, we don't mind that these teams see these dudes on film doing this. You know why? Because they're still confident that they're going to beat them on it. And there's other packages that they haven't, worked in with them. And so, Lander catching that touchdown, great, awesome. You can do something totally different with that. I'm not sure if I want to see – actually, you know what? I've totally changed my thoughts on this. You know what they brought up was that they basically studied all this. You know what I mean? Like, they looked at the Travis Hunter case study.
Kyle Whittingham mentioned talking to some of the Colorado staffers about how they utilize them and how what was his workout regimens and stuff like that.
So what they did was they just basically studied it and said, this is a possibility. By the way, just because these guys are the best athletes on the field, you don't need to just put them in the one spot.
I get that to an extent, but at the same time, there's probably a reason why nobody's ever done what Travis Hunter did before, right?
Well,
we're talking about a dude who played 100% of the snaps on offense and defense.
Obviously, you're not going to do that. But is there a version of this being like a new evolution of college football where you go, hey, these guys were the best athletes on the field in high school, and the gap is closed a little bit, but they're still the best athlete on the field if they're on the like Smith Snowden's the best like athlete on the field when he steps onto that field. Lander Barton's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Why not have him play both ways? Be smart about it, right?
Exactly.
I just don't want to. Like I don't think you need to look and say that there's a maximum. There's no pitch count, I don't think, on it, but I also don't think you need to have him play 100%. Colorado definitely was angling for this guy to be the Heisman Trophy winner, and the way to get him there was to do this. Smith Snowden will be on his way to be an All-American in the same fashion if he continues to do this, where they go, oh, he's a two-way player, he's phenomenal. I mean, Eric Weddle did this in his career, right? I don't know what the percentage of how many offensive plays he was in on, during his career, like percentage-wise. I have no idea. But everybody looked and went, yeah, but he's a safety. Right?
More recently, Sione Vaki.
Sione Vaki, I think, opened up Kyle Whittingham's mind of, I'm okay with doing that. Like, let's keep doing both.
Once Sione Vaki started playing running back, though, we didn't really see him as much on defense, it felt like.
Well, and then what does he do in the league now? He's a running back.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a little bit of a different situation because what was the season like for Utah that year, right? They weren't, by the time Sione Vaki moved to running back, they weren't competitive really in the Pac-12 anymore at that point. You're assuming this year they are going to be contending for the Big 12 title. So, yeah, once you start playing the bigger fish in the pond and you need your star corner out there in Smith Snowden, does that limit how much we're going to see him on offense? Or are they kind of just going to say, you know what, go out there and play until you can't?
Well, I think, Whittingham said it was going to be a little bit of a week-by-week case, opponent-by-opponent case, and I think we'll continue to see that. I think in tonight's game against Cal Poly, you don't need to really see him on offense.
He might only play a half anyway on both sides of the ball.
Exactly.
Load management.
Exactly.
Right?
You don't need to see him in this game doing the work that he did against UCLA. But I think once you get into Big 12 play and once you get into those better opponents, right, maybe we do continue to see the same amount of work of Smith Snowden being on both sides of the ball because he is a true athlete. He can do it both. And I think that we'll continue to see a similar usage to what we saw against UCLA once we get into Big 12 play. But again, tonight, you don't need to see that.
Oh, my goodness. Guess what we're seeing for the first time on TV? CW Football Saturday. Hey! But the game that's on CW, by the way, is that SMU Baylor game. And it's 21-24 at the half with SMU leading that one, and both quarterbacks have combined for 500 yards of passing and 4 touchdowns in the first half. Sawyer Robertson and Kevin Jennings are putting on a show, man. They are legit. That's a fun game to watch.
A&M just ran another touchdown in, by the way. That was their quarterback, Marcel Reed, on a read option. So 16-6 for A&M up over Utah State.
Did you call it a read option?
Yeah.
I got you. No, I got you. No, that's why you're a pro. Those types of puns.
Read option.
Those are the kind of puns that we pay extra money for.
Extra point is pending. A&M up 16-6, though, by the way.
Yeah, so it looks like it'll be 17-6. And, I mean, you're supposed to go down there and probably lose this game. I was telling you guys.
Nobody told Bronco that.
Well, Bronco, I think that he's limited on the personnel that he has, right? I mean, you have all these. I think second-year Bronco going down to College Station would have been a little bit more interesting to watch to see what kind of athletes you bring in and what kind of defense you have dialed up. But yeah, I mean, you kind of
it still could be a game. I mean, if Utah State goes down and scores this next drive, it is still a game.
I want them to put up some points. I want them to kind of put a scare a little bit into a team like Texas A&M, who, again, we were talking about in the break. Like, I don't know why people put them at the top of those polls like every year. You know, everybody else has to. Even if they end in the top 10, they're like, yeah, but we're taking you out of the polls because we're not used to putting you there. We got to save a place for USC and for Texas A&M. So, the keys to the game are going to be in the next segment here. But I was gonna ask you guys with Cal Poly if it's a blowout type situation, which you're kind of hoping that it is if you're a fan and you got that first home game. What are you looking for then? So, what do you build on from last week? What do you want the Utes to do against Cal Poly this week that would add to your thought of what they are doing as an offense, and how do they get to the point where you feel comfortable, like, okay, that's a good iterate. I like to see this next step. Is there a version of a next step, or is this kind of a little bit of a purgatory as you're playing an FCS team and then you find out in the weeks to come after this against legitimate competition?
No, I think you have to look at this game and you have to continue looking at the line of scrimmage and win that battle at the line of scrimmage. One of the things that, one of the concerns that I had coming into the season for Utah was the defensive line, right? You lose two key guys in the middle in Keanu Tonavasa and Junior Tafuna. Who replaces that? What's going to replace that? And I think we got some of those answers last week in someone like a John Henry Daly stepping up. He's someone that I think not a lot of people were looking at to start, coming into the season, and he came up and he made some huge plays, including 2 sacks. And so continue to win the battle in the trenches and continue to dominate the line of scrimmage. And I think that's how you continue to build on the success that you had against UCLA.
I want Utah to match BYU's 468 yards rushing. I made a joke last week. Will Farron obviously made the 56-yard field goal, right? And that was a big deal. And then just a couple hours later, Dylan Curtis, true freshman, kicks a 54-yard field goal. And I was like, oh, Utah must have heard that BYU had a 56-yard field goal. And they were like, oh, we can do that too. So half joking, I do want to see Utah just run the ball all over Cal Poly. And, there's no reason why Utah can't put up at least 300 yards rushing today against these Mustangs.
That sounds so wild. So I'm expecting at least 300 on the ground from the Utes. I'd like to see them get to almost 500 on the ground.
That would be nice.
I think you'll take 300. So an early key to the game, just 400 yards on the ground for Utah.
San Diego ran 33 times for 165 yards.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's going to be. What's funny is that the BYU game last week, they held Portland State to -5 yards rushing.
Yeah.
They had 50 yards total on offense. You're going to see Cal Poly probably in that maybe double-digit rushing category, probably not north of the 50 yards rushing category. It's going to be less than – I mean, I think Portland State ran the ball 26 times or something like that for -5 yards. So it's like a point – negative attempts on every attempt, is quite wild. But that's exactly what Utah's defense is built for, is those types of performances against this type of inferior. You're going to see the line of scrimmage get dominated to a way that it's just like, it's going to be embarrassing, I think, for Cal Poly a little bit. You're going to see, again, I don't think you're going to see more than 150 yards of total offense. If you're lucky, 150 yards of total offense from Cal Poly today. It just is going to be one of those days where it's going to be a clinic on both sides of the football. And so, but when was the last time you were able to say that about Utah football? On both sides of the ball to get a clinic, right?
Well, last week, right? But yeah, how different does it feel?
That's what it feels 1,000% different. I think you're going to see a massive difference today even. The attitudes, the way these guys carry themselves, the way that these guys play, versus the way they did last year. Even a defense that was second in the conference in total defense, you didn't feel like it because they looked like they were sad the whole time, and it looked like that they were and they were losing games. So you lose games 13-6, and you're like, we can't get more than 13 points to beat this team. It's wild to see, but now the confidence is back, and I would expect that you're going to see fewer than 200 yards of offense. I'm hoping less than 150 from Utah's defense, and then Christian's just requiring just 400 yards of rushing from the Utes. It's no problem.
Yeah,
no big deal.
No, you got to show up the guys down south. That's literally what it's all about. We saw there were clips of Whittingham's press conference. Well, because again, he had the presser on Monday. Sean was up there getting the sound.
Did we not give away the free pizza?
It was remember it was Labor Day, right? It was Labor Day. So there were apparently the media room wasn't as full as it normally is, and Whit walks up to the podium and he immediately says, "Where is everybody? They must be down in Provo."
Not that he's ever thinking about those guys, right?
He's never thought about them a day in his life.
We approach every opponent the same. Oh, really? You didn't make a comment about that? Everybody, all the media guys must be out there in Ames, Iowa. Yeah, I
say it mostly as a joke, but I guarantee that Kyle Whittingham sees that 468 rush number and is like, "Oh, we can get close to that. We can do the same thing.
We can do that."
Like, there's no doubt in my mind that thought has crossed his mind.
I think it's one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, last night, and it's been a discourse that I've seen on social media. If and when this game gets out of hand, right, and you start to see the backups come in, you start to see the twos come in, who comes in at QB?
Yeah,
because last week, right, in garbage time, Bird Flicken came in, made his debut, had a couple of runs.
I think you're going to see Bird come in most of these situations. I think that they are attempting to keep that red shirt alive for Isaac Wilson.
Well, he can still play four games. He can play 4 games, and this might be one where you see him playing a lot. But I still think you see Bird going first.
But would they not want to redshirt Bird as well?
I don't know, because
if he comes in, he'd have 2 left.
So maybe. So this is my theory. Okay, maybe. Because they're
going to have him play a total of 8 games total. They're like, you got this game, and then you're going to rotate over to this one. Not a bad plan.
They named Isaac Wilson as the backup quarterback. They made that clear during training camp. So maybe the thought process is, if you get into a sticky situation during conference play, you are more comfortable putting Isaac Wilson out as your backup. But you don't want to have him play in garbage time during this non-conference schedule in case you do need to use him and still preserve that red shirt. That would be best case scenario. Where on the flip side, let's get Bird Ficklin some opportunity in this offense because his skill set is so similar to Devin Dampier's, right? So you can get him some play in the non-conference schedule, and then you don't really trust him yet to go in during the conference slate. So, he plays 3 non-conference games. Boom, you still get to preserve his red shirt as well. So, that is probably best case scenario. I would imagine that is their thought process going through this, but we'll see. I mean, that'll all change if Isaac Wilson trots out tonight.
Listen to the luxury that the Utah folks have to go, I don't know. What do you do at QB 2 and 3 tonight, guys?
Yeah, right.
It's like, I know it's going to get to. I know it's going to get to that. It really will. But it's interesting to see how they're going to end up trying to handle these guys for sure.
Last week for BYU, we saw all 4 guys come in. Right, you saw Bear Bachmeyer start, then Michaelsit came in, then Bourget came in, and then you even saw an appearance from Hagen.
Yeah, you see. I get him mixed up. Which one's Cole? Cody's
Cody's the receiver.
The fly guy. Yeah. So Cole comes in, and the way that A-Rod brought it up was he's just put in so much work for this program. You know what I mean? It was almost like
running the scout team.
I
playing
know.
Safety on the scout
it felt
team.
too much like a Rudy situation. It was like, all right, but yeah. I've got some shock news for you on my keys to the game. By the way,
All right, we'll get to the keys to the game next. Let's take a break, wrap up another edition of College Football Saturday, and again hit those keys to the game. We'll do that on the other side. You're listening to College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You've been listening to The Zone for decades.
Yes!
But now you can watch the guys break down your favorite teams.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Catch the video stream of DJ and PK, Jake and Ben, Hanson Scotty, and JJ and Alex right now at KSLSports.com or by searching KSL Sports on YouTube. Utah's best sports radio is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Vanity Fair calls BritBox a delicious streamer. Collider says everyone should be watching. Catch Britain's next best series with BritBox. Stream acclaimed new originals like Code of Silence.
You read lips, right?
And Linley, based on the best-selling mystery series.
Say hi, Linley. Take it from here.
And don't miss the new season of Karen Piri, coming this October.
You don't look like police. I'll take that as a compliment.
See it differently when you stream the best of British TV with BritBox. Watch with a free trial today.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken.
Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Fall is football season. Hi, this is Doug Wright. You know me as Utah's Mr. Sports, and I know that nothing goes better with fall football than looking forward to a delicious meal after the game at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. We're so fortunate we've got two locations, one in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City at 275 Southwest Temple, or of course up in the Park City area at Hotel Park City. You can count on the meal prepared perfectly to your tastes. Each and every steak is served sizzling hot on a 500-degree plate. And if you happen to not be in the mood for steak, their entrees are incredible, from seafood to poultry. Sometimes they have specialty entrees on the menu. And of course, their desserts are legendary. And the side dishes that you pass around the table to share are wonderful. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It's fall. It's time to enjoy football and a delicious meal from Ruth's Chris.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Ski Chevy is back with season passes to Solitude Mountain Resort. So drop in to a participating Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer now. Plus, upgrade to a discounted Icon base pass when you purchase or lease any new Chevy model. From powerful trucks like Silverado to a versatile families of SUVs. Retail value per pass is $999. Offer valid while supplies last or until 10/31/25. See participating dealer for complete redemption details, vehicle eligibility, and restrictions. See your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealers today.
You're locked on to College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And welcome back into College Football Saturday here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Kirry, Alex Napoles here with you. The final segment of the day will bring you the Utah keys to the game. Utah taking on Cal Poly tonight at Rice-Eccles Stadium, 4 p.m. kickoff. Everybody's excited for the Utah home opener, but what are you guys looking for tonight as Utah takes on an FCS opponent?
I'll go first here. I want to see who else can run the ball. Obviously, you are very comfortable with Devin Dampier, Wayshawn Parker, and Akari Rogers as your sort of three-headed main rushing attack. But if any of those guys were to ever miss time, heaven forbid, you want to have some depth at that running back position, especially if this is what Utah's going to be doing all year, right? And last week we saw some things. Hunter Andrews, former running back who converted to a tight end, but then they gave him a rushing play last week, took that carry in for 25 yards, right? That looked good. And then we saw some damage from Smith Snowden as well. We also don't really know what the dynamic of Nate Johnson is going to be, how he's going to play into this offense. So I want to feel more comfortable, I guess, with an RB3. And it's funny, we're talking about RB3 during this game, but really that's all you can do against a Cal Poly team, right? Is figure out your depth. That's part of why these games are played. Figuring out your depth, figuring out who you feel comfortable stepping in if your starters need to miss some time.
I'm going to go. I said it was going to be a shock. I don't think it's going to be a shock. I think you're going to have more touchdown passes thrown by people who are not Devin Dampier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smith Snowden?
There might be a little trickeration.
He's got to get the 3, right? Because he's got a rushing touchdown, he's got a receiving touchdown, so let's get him a passing touchdown.
Go full Taysom Hill and make him start scoring it. And then he'll probably get a kick return touchdown at some point this year. This guy will be
and a pick 6.
Come on. Get it all.
And then, you know what? At that point, let's just have him kick a field goal too.
I think but that means you're going to have this game well in control by the half, which is my key to the game, is just be done by the half with with the full slate of all your guys.
Pull your starters at half, you say?
Yeah. And if that means that it's 49-0 at the half, I think that's what it was at BYU, right? I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it's a similar spread. It's in the 40s, and I think you're going to see Utah into the 50s and Cal Poly not get there. But I want you to get there as soon as you can so you can get as much out of these guys as possible. So get your dudes right. Have your starters sitting by half. That's my key to the game there.
I think for me, I want to see them try out a little bit more explosive plays. I know we're really big on the death by 1,000 paper cuts, and I think that will be an effective system for this Utah offense. But I would like to see them try to air it out a little bit, try to get a little bit more explosive plays. I think last week the only one that we saw really was Tobias Merriweather in that 36-yard pass from Devin Dampier. You also had maybe one explosive run, which was Hunter Andrews going for his one rush that went 25 yards. I want to see a little bit more explosiveness on this offense. I want to see a little bit more pizzazz on this offense, if you will, and allow yourself to have that opportunity to get explosive plays and to pick up some big yards. And I think tonight would be a perfect opportunity to do that against this FCS opponent.
I like that.
Want to remind you, by the way, that we're going to have our KSL tailgate up there on Guardsman Way, right outside of Roland Hall School, up there on Guardsman. Go check it out. Starting at noon, so if you're on your way up to the stadium at some point in the next few, or if you're going to be parking on that south end there and then walking up Guardsman Way, have a little stopover at the KSL Sports booth, and we're going to have some donuts there for you and some snacks and some fun stuff for the kids to be able to play as well. We'll be all the way up there until 4 p.m. So noon to 4, get you ready for your game day up there. Very first home game of the season, Ring of Honor recipients, of course, and Coach Mack is going to be honored at half, so that's going to be really cool to see. It's going to be a fun day, and you're going to see. And hey, you're going to get the day over with. Here's the good news about these games too. Maybe 3.25 hours, maybe 3.5. Maybe you even get to just like right at 3 hours of everybody running the football and having this thing kind of. So it'll be a beautiful day up there at Rice-Eccles Stadium. It's going to be a little bit warm, but what it will be is a perfect time of day to be able to end on a football note. So there you go, up at Rice-Eccles, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Remember to catch the postgame show tonight immediately following the games, immediately following the BYU-Stanford game, immediately following the Cal Poly-Utah game. Christian Esparza and I will go live. We'll be on air, and we'll be streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, and KSLSports.com for your Ute postgame and your Cougar postgame. Again, that is tonight immediately following the game. You can also hear all the breakdowns from these two games throughout the week on DJ and PK, on Jake and Ben, on Hans and Scotty, and on JJ and Alex here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. That's going to do it for us here. From Christian Esparza, from Alex Kirry, I'm Alex Napoles. This is another edition of College Football Saturday here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, we'll send it over to College Station. The Aggies taking on Texas A&M here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether you're stuck in the office,
I believe you have my stapler.
in your car, or at your in-laws,
You want a piece of me? You bet I do.
the Zone is with you every step of the way. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows and access to all the latest updates on your favorite teams. Your home for the best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey guys, Alex Kirry here. You've heard us talking about SLC fat loss for a while, and I'm sitting down here with Jeff and Angela, who have also been on the program. How are you guys doing?
Thanks.
We're glad to be here. Well, you look awesome. Tell me how much weight you guys have lost and how long it's taken.
I lost 36 pounds in the 60-day reduction phase, and I've lost an additional 6 pounds on maintenance. So 42 pounds total so far.
And I've lost 59 so far. Tell me exactly what's changed about that health now that the weight has been lost with SLC fat loss.
I immediately started sleeping better. I also quit craving things late at night that I knew were sabotaging my diet.
I don't have to take a deep breath to tie my shoes anymore, and I can actually stand up after I've been kneeling on the floor without feeling like I was going to pass out.
What would you tell somebody who is like you guys and maybe wants to start losing some weight about SLC fat loss?
Don't wait another day. This plan will change your life.
Just get a hold of the folks at Salt Lake City Fat Loss. Just go to their website, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Results may vary.
Utah deserves better. If you just got a quote on a new furnace or air conditioner and felt like they were pushing you into something big and expensive, you're not the only one. A lot of home service companies here in Utah aren't really local anymore. They've been bought out by private equity groups focused on profits, not people. Here at Your Service Pros, we're different. We're Utah-based, family-owned, and built on trust, not sales quotas. We offer free second opinions on repairs or replacement because most people just want to know the truth. If your system can be repaired, we'll gladly fix it. But if it needs to be replaced, we'll show you your options, including a hybrid system with up to $6,650 in total rebates. We'll make sure you're getting the best price possible, not some inflated quote so our investors can get richer. Your Service Pros has served Utah homeowners for over 20 years, and we're proud to have a 4.9-star rating from families just like yours. So call Your Service Pros today at 801-YOUR-PRO. If you need a free second opinion on your heating, air, plumbing, or electrical, call 801-YOUR-PRO, because Utah deserves better.
Our climate is dry. After all, we live in a beautiful desert state made up of high mountains and red rocks. Grass drinks up a lot of water, but Waterwise Landscaping thrives while using less. And the best part? You can get paid to make the switch. Visit slowtheflow.org to learn how to replace your grass and earn cash incentives. Save water, save money, and design a yard that works for Utah.
The Garden Restaurant has been open for a few months, and if you haven't stopped by, now is the time to get downtown and check out what everyone's been raving about. And if you have visited the new space, schedule a time to come on back. Grab a friend and come visit one of Salt Lake's best gathering spots for lunch. You'll be greeted by the delicious smell of fresh baked goods like our famous Lionhouse rolls, perfect for taking home for family dinners. Or maybe you have a sweet tooth and are craving one of our brand new cinnamon rolls. They're the size of a dinner plate and perfect for sharing between a group of friends. Come smell and taste the garden for yourself. Enjoy the beautifully reimagined space and convenient location with new street access on the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. Open weekdays 11 to 3. Choose from healthy and delicious options like the turkey pot pie, jalapeno pork and grilled cheese sandwiches, tomato bisque soup, and nut and berry salad. All favorites not to be missed. So much to choose from. Check out the menu at thegardenslc.com. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant.
10 years ago, Les Olson IT set out to do more than fix copiers and printers. We set out to become the IT team Utah businesses count on. Today, we're proud to celebrate a decade as Utah's managed IT service provider, trusted by thousands of local companies for secure, reliable tech support. Thanks for trusting us. Here's to the next 10 years of innovation, protection, and partnership. Visit lesolson.com to learn more.
Olson IT.
The KSL Sports Zone and Hercules Credit Union are highlighting people that impact youth sports. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week at